Well, there's a piece in National Review. Once again, it's like it's sort of a status quo establishment site. They are what they are. Read it. Now, there's a fellow over there who writes, who's a very nice guy. I don't believe I've ever met him, but I remember when he was an intern over there, and I was very impressed with him. His name is Jim Garrity. A flaw in Marco Rubio's call for a convention of the states. That's the headline. Now, it's an amazing thing. I have strong disagreements with Marco Rubio on immigration. That said, the man has had the courage to stand up and support the Convention of the States. The Republican Party rejects the Convention of States. There's not a single conservative think tank in Washington, D.C. that I'm aware of that has embraced the Convention of States because they are populated with individuals who come off the Hill or from the establishment who have a conservative bent, a status quo traditional bent, who will not embrace the Constitution, which includes this under Article 5. The even larger problem is the people who largely assent to that governance, concluding it doesn't really affect them. IRS abuses, they didn't come after me. Bureau of Land Management, it's far away. Restrictive gun laws, hey, I live in a safe neighborhood and work in a building with security. Somebody else will pay those high taxes. Somebody else will worry about the national debt. Maybe so. But there are a lot of you, millions of you, tens of millions of you, who do care. And the problem is the avenues to express your consent or the avenues to express your opposition are either closed or rejected because of the nature of the government today. That's right, Jim. It's just parchment. It's the words that matter and the enforcement that matter. But when the words are twisted and when so much of the government does not resemble what the Constitution provides, that's the issue. You hit on it. You don't even know that you did. But there are people who care about what BLM has done. There are people who care about what the IRS has done. There are people who care about what's going on with the debt. Millions and millions and millions of people. Back in June, Mark Levin contended it was impossible for a convention to end up adopting measures that would worsen our fight for limited government. Quote, the idea that 13 red state legislatures, with just one house controlled by Republicans, would embrace the left's radical agenda should crazy amendments be proposed at a convention of the states is absurd, I said. He writes, doesn't that also mean 13 blue state legislatures with just one house controlled by Democrats can block any proposed amendment detrimental to Democratic interests? Answer, yes. You take your case to the American people. Right now we have no recourse to an out-of-control president, to a Congress that won't do anything, or a Supreme Court that nationalizes social issues and other issues. Right now we have no recourse. So that doesn't mean it's a slam dunk, Jim, that of course you're going to win and the blue states are going to go along happily. Of course not. You make your case to the American people. They put pressure on their state representatives, they put pressure on their state senators, and they in turn pressure the delegates who are selected to go to the convention. If you do not accept that, ladies and gentlemen, it's all over. If you do not accept as conservatives and constitutionalists the entire notion of federalism, the 10th Amendment, Article 5, bottom up, it's over anyway. And that's apparently what Jim Garrity's saying. So they can write till their little hands turn red. They can poke away at their keyboards till they put out another book or another article or another issue of National Review. It doesn't matter because they've surrendered. Obamacare bill, the repeal of a good chunk of Obamacare to Obama's desk. He's going to veto it. What's the point? What do you mean, what's the point? You want to engage the public. You want to engage the system from the bottom up, not the top down. We won't win today, but maybe we'll win tomorrow. And if we don't win tomorrow, maybe the next day. And herein, by Garrity's comments, you see the difference between the left and the right. The left never gives up. They never say no. 100 years they wanted government takeover of health care, and they finally got it. Here, well, what if 13 blue states say no? Then they say no. But we fight on. We build the case. We make routine the convention of the states. So rather than an imperial president with a pen and a phone, or an imperial justice like Justice Kennedy or Justice Roberts, or a pathetic Congress or an out-of-control bureaucracy, we make the case and we demonstrate to them that there is a process that we're prepared to use. It is a constitutional, legitimate process to take our country back. Garrity ends his piece at National Review. In other words, if the real problem is a largely constitutionally illiterate electorate, would a convention of the states solve it? Yes, because a convention of states would involve the body politic. it would draw the attention of the nation and the people like nothing else. Like nothing else. Wall-to-wall coverage. The left would go nuts. Some on the right would go nuts. The rest of us would be cool as cucumbers, knowing exactly what we're doing. The reason they put in Article 5 for amendments is to address this. So I guess my question is, were the framers and the ratifiers smart? Well, apparently not as smart as our friend Jim.